The wife of Keith Scott, the man shot by police in Charlotte, North Carolina, has released a video of the incident itself. She had left the car to go get a cell phone charger. When she came back, the incident was in progress, and this is what it is. For people who are sensitive to this kind of stuff, just be warned, it's very graphic.
He has no weapon. Don't shoot him. Don't shoot him. Don't shoot him. He didn't do anything. He doesn't have a gun. He has a TBI. He's not going to do anything to you guys. He just took his medicine. Keith, don't let them break the windows. Come on out the car. Keith, don't do it. Keith, get out the car. Keith, don't you do it. Don't you do it. Keith, don't you do it. Did you shoot him? Did you shoot him? Did you shoot him? He better not be dead. He better not be dead. I know that much. I know that much. He better not be dead. I'm not going to come near you. I'm going to record, though. I'm not coming near you. I'm going to record, though. He better be alive, because I'm coming. You better be alive. How about that? Yes, over here at 9453 Lexington Court. These are the police officers that shot my husband, and he better live. He better live, because he didn't do nothing to them. He good. Ain't nobody touch nobody, so they all good. I know he better live. I know he better live. How about that? I'm not coming to you guys, but he better live. He better live. Y'all hear this and you see this, right? He better live. He better live. I swear he better live. Yep. He better live. He better live. He better live. Where is... He better live, and I can't even leave the damn... I ain't going nowhere. I'm in the same damn spot. That's okay. Did y'all call the police? Did y'all call an ambulance?
As of right now, the police have not released the video that they have of the shooting, though according to the chief of police, Kerr Putney, Charlotte Mecklenburg, quote, "The video does not give me absolute definitive visual evidence that would confirm that a person is pointing a gun, as has kind of been what's circulated following it." And then, according to the family lawyer, we're not jumping to conclusions about anything in this case. I urge everyone to remember that the video is just another piece of that puzzle. So there you go.
So when this story first broke, witnesses said that he was holding a book. Cops said he was holding a gun. They said they have the handgun. Okay, now, it's a hell of a thing to make up to say that you have a handgun if you don't have the handgun. So
it's only happened probably thousands of times.
No, I know, but in this day and age,
I get it. I agree.
You know, where there's all this attention and then there's video on top of video, it's a hell of a thing to make up. Now, on the other hand, when asked, hey, where's the video? The city's on fire. If you got video of the guy pointing a gun at cops, that might calm things down. Like, hey, what can they do? The guy was pointing a gun at him, but they won't release the video. Now, finally, the sheriff says, well, I don't see him pointing the gun in the video, and I won't release the video. If you had video of him being a threat, my guess is you would have released it by now. So that's a key piece of information. But one more information. The gun, well, they said yesterday, well, we don't know if it was loaded. If you have the gun...
You don't know?
Well, two days later, after all the stuff in the streets of Charlotte, and you didn't check to see if it was loaded? Now, that is a really weird part of the story.
It is. It's also irrelevant. So, because, of course, they wouldn't know if you point an unloaded gun at a police officer, he's going to shoot you.
Right, which makes me more suspicious of their story. What are you doing here?
Well, can we put the quote from the Kerr Putney up again?
It is, quote, graphic number 1.
So, does not give me absolute definitive visual evidence that would confirm that a person is pointing a gun. I'm not trying to be flippant, but that's police speak for he wasn't pointing a gun.
Yes, that's right.
Where
exactly
is the
what
gun?
that is.
Yeah,
where's the gun and where are the bullets? You could probably just show that.
So if you presume that they did not make up they had a gun, which means a cop didn't do what is old school policing. You know, Jimmy, your father was a policeman at a time when that was part of what, not every cop, but some cops, they'd have a gun ready in case they shot somebody, and it turned out the guy didn't have a gun. Well, then you just put your spare gun there, and that's not, we know that's happened, right? Because it's come out later that has happened. So, but here, there's a video camera rolling, and they would have had to act unbelievably quickly to make that happen.
So in this case, we don't know if that happened at all. And so the reserve judgment, it might turn out that there was a gun after all, and that they're being enormously cautious in putting out the video and showing the gun as evidence, etc. But one of the things they might be investigating is exactly what Ben's talking about. The chief might be investigating the cops to make sure they didn't plant the gun.
That's exactly
right. And right. So
yeah.
check. And also, even if he had the gun, of course, then you're back to this peculiar point where he clearly wasn't pointing it, because that's what
No, not pointing it. We're done with
clearly
that.
was not pointing the gun.
Yeah.
And now you got a problem of a state where you don't have to even have a license to carry in North Carolina, right?
Right.
You can just carry it.
Open
It's
carry.
just open carry. So, like, even if he had a gun, well, then
That's the Second Amendment right, et cetera. But to me, the most important part, and Jimmy, I'm going to let you get at it in a second, is she says he's got TBI, traumatic brain injury.
Yes.
She's saying, don't shoot him. He just took his medicine. For God's sake, listen to her. If I hear that as a human being, I think, okay, look, I'm still going to be enormously cautious, because if this guy's taking medicine, maybe he acts erratic, maybe he does something he shouldn't do. But I get it. He's not out of control. He's not a guy looking to necessarily do me harm, probably. And I know you don't want to do too many probablys, but God, I'm going to give the guy a shot to live here, because he might just be a little, had just taken his medicine. God, give him a shot. Give him a chance. Give him a chance to live. And I think that's what a lot of people are upset about, that too often, boom, the shooting happens too quick. Even when you've got his wife right there saying, honey, come out of the car. He just took his medication. Everything's going to be all right. And no, we can't take even a 0.1% chance with anything. We're just going to put him down and worry about it later.
It's training and rethinking, because, look, man, I don't know how they're going to, here's where the limit to which I'll defend them. I don't even know if they can hear the wife, man. They are like, I mean, this is if you're in a stressful situation where if you can go 1 to 10, they're at a 10.
But they're always at a 10. That's exactly my point.
Okay, so I'm saying, right, so then it goes back to training. Like, they're not going to hear her. So the issue has to be, how do we create a situation where you get to a 10 where it takes a lot longer to get to a 10?
So that was exactly what I was going to say. It's like, why do these cops have to settle this thing right this second? If there's a hostage situation, they wait it out. They call the guy's wife. Come on down and talk. Why can't those cops, if they're really afraid for their life, get back in their car for a second and assess the frickin' situation? This guy's not out there going after anybody. This guy was sitting in his frickin' car. They came up on him. So this whole thing of, we got to do it right now. You got to follow my command right this second, and if you don't, I'm going to shoot you. That's what we do in this country, because we don't respect life, because we're killing millions of people around the world, and nobody gives a shit about it, right? And we're still in a war machine, and no matter who we vote for this year, we're going to be voting for killing more brown people around the world. And that's why we don't respect life, and that's why we kill our own brown people here at home. And why it has to happen right that second. I ran from cops when I was a kid. You ran from cops? I ran from cops when I was a kid, and my dad was a cop. And I never for a second thought a cop was going to shoot me.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
I could be dead right now. If that cop was chasing after me, my skin was a little darker, I would be dead. If any of these cops would be chasing after me today, because it has changed. It is not the same as it was when I was a kid, when my dad was on the force. It is not the same. They see you as the enemy, and then your number one job is to make sure you come home at night safe. That's what cops say. That's what Barack Obama even says. And no, that's not your job. Your job is to make sure I come home safe at night. That's why you're supposed to risk your life. That's why we're supposed to respect you and give you deference, and we give you a gun and authority. That's why, because you're supposed to risk your life. And if you're not risking your life, then you're just a jumpy son of a bitch who's going around shooting people. What separates you from me if you're just as jumpy as me or jumpier, which they are?
I think that's because of the training. But let me double down on two things Jimmy said. One is a great point about de-escalation. Look at the Tamir Rice situation. They pull up right to the 12-year-old kids playing in a park with a toy gun. They got a nebulous call. They don't, and the caller even said, "I'm not sure what he has." Right, But instead of pulling up to the curb, they pulled up on the grass in the middle of the park and shot Tamir Rice in 2 seconds. If they had parked on the curb and said, hey, put whatever you have down, probably the 12-year-old kid in Cleveland would have put it down, right? They would have got to assess whether it's a toy gun or not.
And every cop car has a loudspeaker they can speak over, right? When they say, get out of traffic. You've heard them do that.
Yeah.
They could have done that from 100 yards away.
So, Sean King wrote a powerful article in the Daily News earlier this week saying, can black folks in America at least get the Rahami treatment? That's the terrorist in New York and New Jersey. He had a shootout with the cops, shot a couple of cops, had done bombings, and he's like, somebody must have wanted to take him in alive because they took him in alive, right? And by the way, the Boston bombers, one of them was killed, but I think by his brother when he ran him over. And then the other guy, they shot him a whole bunch of times, but they took him alive. So there's apparently situations where you can take people alive. And how do you do that? You do that by being a little bit more patient. Hostage situation is a great example, Jimmy. But if a black guy they think might have a gun. No, we're not in a hostage situation. We're not in a terrorist situation. We're in a nuclear situation. We must eradicate whatever perceived threat immediately. Second of all, you might say Jimmy's foreign policy point is tangential. No, he's right. We've turned our cops into an occupying force, except they're occupying us. And so, if the cops were not saints in your dad's time, they did a lot of crooked stuff, right? We know that, and you've talked about that in the past. But back then, there was this thing of you don't shoot someone unless you really, really have to, right?
I don't think that's right. I think we're romanticizing something. I'm not saying that there isn't we don't know. We have video now. So that may be completely clouding our perception. And I don't have the stats in front of me of cops killing people, but I'm sure that black people in this country would say, are you guys out of your mind? In the 1950s and 60s, we got shot all the time. All the time. It never made news. It was covered up without even they got to go through at least some formal effort of an investigation, and they have to, back then, look, I saw LA Confidential, Curtis Hanson died this week.
And it's hard to get stats.
Right. No, it is hard to get stats. And so, but I don't think you're correct about how things used to be. But I don't think it matters because the problem now is undeniable.
But I think it did. I think most people would agree that it did ramp up during the war on drugs, right? So that's when we started saying some people don't deserve rights because if all they had to do is say you're a drug dealer and now you don't have any rights, we take all your money without due process, we take anything, so no due process if we say you're a drug dealer or something. And now all they have to do is say you're a terrorist, and then you don't get any due process.
Okay,
and that I think after 9/11, that's what that whole thing came about. It's like. You got to respect the cops, and it's about them coming home safe at night. I think I never used to hear that before.
Well, I think you got two separate points there, and I agree with half of them. There's obviously been a change since 9/11, but I think this is a distinction without real difference. We all agree that there's a problem, and a sensitivity, and I think your best point, and it was a really excellent point, because a hostage situation, you don't shoot in the house because there are hostages in there. But sometimes the guy's just barricaded himself, and he's alone, and the cops then stay in their cars, and they make themselves safe, and then they call him. And why can't we create that situation? Why don't we, call 6 more cops, get on the other side of him, and circle him, and then talk to him. And if it takes 90 minutes or 3 hours, eventually that guy comes out of the car, and you arrest him for wasting your time, process then, and he comes out and he goes home at night. And there's a way to do it, but we don't even get to that point. I understand if that cop presumably thought he had a gun. I understand why he pulled the trigger. He's probably not a maniac individually, right? But we didn't get a chance for him to calm down. And there ought to be, the first instinct ought to be, this guy might have a gun. Everybody back up. Everybody back up. Because as Jimmy says, the best point is, he's not running around. They came up to him. He's literally not going anywhere. And he's in a parking lot. He can't get somewhere else.
Yeah, they blocked his car. Block his car and then be
back
patient.
away and talk
by the
to
way,
him.
Terrence Crutcher in Oklahoma, same exact thing. That's why I keep pounding away at the training, because this isn't by accident that cops are reacting the same way with Philando Castile in Minnesota, with Alton Sterling in Louisiana, with Terrence Crutcher in Oklahoma, and now this in Charlotte, let alone all of the other cases, dozens and dozens of cases. Tamir Rice in Cleveland, and then you've got the Walmart shooting in Ohio with Crawford, and
Eric Garner.
It goes, Eric Garner, they choked to death. I'm just talking about the shootings, right? So our point is, stop training them to be, so afraid of everything in their surroundings. Stop training them that their only job is to get home safe. If you thought your only job was to get home safe, well, you wouldn't take any risks either. You'd shoot, shoot, shoot. But when you teach that, what have you taught implicitly? That the other lives do not matter. They certainly don't matter as much as your life does. And when you're a cop, it's supposed to be the opposite. Jimmy's right. Your whole job is to make sure that you protect other lives. And that's your whole job. It's like firemen saying, I got to get home safe. I'm not going to that fire.
Right. So
You never hear a fireman say that. He's like, we'll call some cops, we'll shoot this fire.